What I want you to take out of this video today is the high skill level that Pau possesses. His ability to impact the game not only by scoring and his great footwork and his IQ for scoring, but also the way he runs the floor, his offensive rebounding, his passing, his basketball IQ, how he's a great team defender and makes such an effort on that end of the floor. So I want you to understand that being a good big man isn't just about scoring. And he just does so many good things, but obviously his scoring is a big part of his game. But I want you to take all the little parts that he has, because he's won on every level, and he's a big-time winner. And he's one of the more skilled players that ever play the game, but I want you to take the different skills that we covered today. So let's roll the tape and let's go to work. There's so much talk today about impacting the game without having the ball in your hands. The first thing that comes to mind for a big man is being able to run the floor in transition. And running the floor creates so many easy opportunities for the big that could run, beating their defender up the floor and being able to at least capitalize with 1, 2, 3 layups a game by just running. What it does, it puts unbelievable pressure on the defense, needing to match up in transition, communicate, and if you run the floor so well, because they're, without the ball in your hands, of course, and what the transition defense, what they're trying to do is stop the ball, whoever has the ball in their hands. And a lot of times the big has to rotate over to help and stop the ball, which helps the offensive big who's running the floor get easy baskets. But running the floor in transition just, it just puts them such at a bind on the defensive end, being able to have to match up and communicate. And what it really creates is cross matching, where smaller guys has to bump the big, and you could have deep post touches by just running the floor. And there's a lot of switching that goes on in the defensive end because they have to match up to a man and not just their own man. And it just creates good shots. It creates good shots for the person who's running the floor, but also for other players off the ball. Because again, when you have cross matching and you're forcing smaller players to have to bump on the bigs, a lot of times shooters are running the floor. Their man has to leave to bump the big that's running, opening up easy shots or easy straight line drives. So being able to run the floor just opens up so many opportunities for your team. And let's roll the tape and let's figure it out. Let's go to work. First video of the presentation. I don't care how skilled a post player is or non-skilled they are. Being able to run the floor is a trait that they all need to have. I don't care how athletic, quick, explosive, or whatnot. You got to be able to run the floor to put pressure on the defense and force them into uncomfortable situations where you get 2 or 3 open layups a game just by running. And not only can you get layups, but now it forces the defense to scramble and have cross matching, and other players have to rotate over to stop you from going and stop the post player from running the floor and getting open layups, and it just opens up so many other opportunities for your team. So let's take a look at a few clips and see how that impacts the game. Don't worry, he's going to dunk most of these. You don't have to dunk if you have players or you're a player that can't dunk. Be able to finish with a layup is fine, but just watch how running the floor really impacts everything. Watch him haul ass down the floor. Beats everybody down. Look ahead. Layup. And it's just, it pisses everybody off to be able to run like that. Now on this, just say if he didn't get the ball, and say Kobe didn't throw the pass, right? Watch he beats his man clearly down the floor. He beats Mark down the floor. But so now Rudy Gay's got to leave his man, which opens up Fisher. Okay, so this rotation is going to happen if, say, he doesn't get the ball. So that's what running the floor does. It just it forces cross matches. But here, Gay doesn't really have a chance. Open dunk. Look, he's under the basket, sprinting the floor. No one really bumps him. No one checks him. Open layup, forces Cardinal to foul, and 1. Here he's going to run the floor again. Again, all eyes are on the ball. Basket. Last man down. He's sprinting. All our eyes are on Kobe. Trails. And that's where trailing really, because look, as he's, everyone's look at, Devin Harris, everybody, everyone's sort of fixated on Kobe, and everybody who's already down the floor, their eyes aren't on Pau, and Pau could just sort of cut to the basket in transition here. Again, it just frustrates the defense. They're trying to stop the ball, but now, as Tyson Chandler stops the ball, someone's going to have to pick up Pau. But that's where this communication and confusion happens in transition, and you could slip to the basket and just have so many opportunities. It's demoralizing for the defense. Makes the block, sprints the floor, trails it. Everybody's on Fisher, dunk in transition. It doesn't have to be a dunk and a layup. It could be just a transition, catch and shoot, where Pau does here. Trails it, everybody's on the ball, 1-2, right into your shot. So it's not brain surgery. It's just sprint the floor, run as hard as you can, get open layups, and force cross matches by the defense. And it also just sort of, it's a hard thing to communicate with, for the defense when you're sprinting the floor. You should be able to get a couple layups a game. But if you don't, it's just going to open up open shots and good opportunities for you to do. But just by running the floor, it just has so much impact on the game. Continuing our theme on playing without the ball and being an impact for your team, without the ball in your hands, cutting, moving without the ball. A lot of times in our game today, our game's dominated by ball handling and by guards that could handle the basketball. And being off the ball, you have to, as a big, be able to cut into space, duck in from the weak side, cut behind the defense. There's so many different ways you can cut and have an impact for your team that, again, you can't have the ball in your hands all the time. And with the limited post play that there is anyways, you have to find other ways to impact the game besides scoring on the block. So let's go through some film and see some of these situations. Let's go to work. Not every post player that you're going to work with is going to be just on the low block, catching it, and running your whole team through him or her. A lot of times you're going to have post players that need to be able to play off the ball, cut into space, cut behind the defense, see that the ball handler needs someone to cut to give him a safety valve. And this is what the importance of cutting is. It's being able to just sort of cut into the gaps of the defense, either cut to the rim if they overplay, your defender takes their eyes off you, and be able to make a play. We're going to go through about 5, 6, 7 clips of this, but I just want you to watch the different ways that you can move without the ball and how good he was with not just having the ball in his hands, but playing off the ball and being able to cut and give his team some, great opportunities. So let's go to work. Good. So simply just the overplay front automatically spins to the basket. Here just simply cuts in space, turns over that left shoulder. So this is just a simple low post, right off the cut, right off the back screen. See what happens. And this is just normal defense that you have to sort of pay attention to. All ball watching. Off that back screen, once he catches, look at the eyes of everybody. They're all on Lamar Odom. So what does Gasol do? He doesn't just stand there. He takes advantage of this situation and cuts to the basket. This is more like a roll, but still, like just being able to cut. It's supposed to be a low pick and roll, corner pick and roll. Fisher just decides to go to the basket. He draws 2. Right there, draws 2. And then Gasol just rolls. Layup. Just simple, cut behind the basket, behind the defense here. All the eyes are on the ball as it usually is. And that's teaching any position player when they play off the ball. All the defenders, their eyes are going to be on the ball handler. So as Fisher cuts, no one's really has their eyes on Gasol. Cuts behind the defense. Artest finds him. Quick layup. Here he'll just cut right into the sort of the teeth of the defense. No one's really there. A little spin. And just cut into the middle of the floor. A little jump shot in the middle. This is just defense being a sweep. Sort of walks us down, and then Thompson, eyes on the ball, just spins off. Finished. So there you go. Just some great examples of, just being able to cut into space, not watch the ball, helping your team if you don't have the ball in your hands to, just sort of wait for the defense to sort of collapse or, have lapses where you could just either cut into space, cut behind them, cut to the rim, and just open up opportunities for your team. The rebound of the ball. Obviously an important trait to have at any position. We're going to center in on, and what we're going to focus in on with Pau is his offensive rebounding. His defensive rebounding is good. He got a lot because he's big and he's long and he's got a good basketball IQ. But his offensive rebounding is pretty interesting to look at. It's an important trait to have to be a good offensive rebounder. Why? Well, first, it gives you second chance points, an opportunity not only to put points on the board for yourself, but gives it maximizes possessions for your team, being able to score on second chance points. To be a good offensive rebounder, you need to get your positioning early. Meaning, on defense, you're asked to box out all the time. If you watch great offensive rebounders, like Dennis Rodman, if you watch him play and the ball goes up, not only does he know where the ball is, but he positions himself to box his man out on the offensive glass to be, get that inside position. You're going to watch that a lot on Pau's offensive rebounding. His activity level is extremely high, and he gets his hands on a lot of balls because of a lot of desire to get the basketball. But he also keeps the ball high when he rebounds the ball and puts it back up. So let's roll the tape, let's figure it out, and let's go to work. With offensive rebounding, the important aspects of Pau's game and what makes him such a good rebounder on the offensive end is positioning. Being able to box his man out and get inside positioning on the player he's trying to beat for the offensive rebound. You're always taught on defense how to box out and how to keep players out. On offense, you have to take that philosophy as well. If you watch any really good rebounder like a Dennis Rodman, they work so much on positioning for offensive rebounds and getting that inside position and knowing where the ball is going to be. Not only the positioning is important, but having active hands, being able to have hands by your sides and up, not having your hands down, but having your hands up and be able to tip the balls in with either, the rebounds in with either hand, as well as keeping the ball high when you grab a rebound and not bringing the ball down. He impacts the game based on his activity level. And the more active you are and the more you work on positioning, the better rebounder you're going to be. So we'll just watch a few clips on his offensive rebounding just so you can get sort of an idea of what I'm talking about. So you see that. Obviously the rebounds are cool, but Kobe drives and watch him get inside position and make contact with Garnett and taking Garnett's legs out, and then he gives him that advantage for the offensive rebound. Again, it's all preparation and what you do before the play happens and be able to just set yourself up. Here, this is just active hands. This is just having active hands, keeping the ball high, going after the rebound and keeping it alive. Just making sure, body checking Nash out, but you're making contact, staying in there, keeping the ball high, and being aggressive and active on the boards. Again, here he slips in before the shot's up, slips in on the inside of Duncan, makes contact, and then clears all that space, because he could use his legs and his back to be able to clear space, keeps the ball up, and then dunks the ball on the offensive rebound. Here's just being active. Sees the shot going up, and automatically he doesn't just stand there and ball watch, but sprints in, gets in position, keeps it high, finish, off the glass. This is just running the floor, and we talked about it in the transition, how important it is to trail and run the floor. Everybody's sort of eyes are on, Vujicic here, and he just sprints in, keeps the ball high, quick rebound, and finish. And the last one here, again, gets inside on Okur. No box out there, but again, mostly when you're trying to go for rebounds, most of the defense is going to be ball watching. And everybody's going to be ball watching, to be honest. So he takes advantage of that. Ball goes up, gets inside. Once he gets inside of Okur right there, there's nothing Okur can do. If you're low and you make contact and you box out and you get that inside positioning, you have a great advantage for the rebound. Keeps the ball up, finish, and that's it. Offensive rebounding and rebounding in general, it's a lot about positioning. It's a lot about desire, trying to get a rebound. But on the offensive rebounding, trying to get that position on the inside, you saw how important it is once you get inside position, and then also making contact with your man to be able to clear that space out. You have to have a plan. You have to have active hands. You have to keep that ball high. Your positioning is important. But being able to work on all these things are big factors of the game. Offensive rebounding can mean so much for your team to get second opportunities on misses to be able to get points. So every possession you have to maximize your offensive output. So this is just a few examples of how to become an efficient offensive rebounder. We talk about impacting the game without the ball, setting good screens. Now, we talked in earlier films about being able to set pin downs and whatnot. We're talking about pick and rolls here. The first thing you want to do as a screener is to give the advantage to the ball handler, set a solid screen, and you could see Pau, he's a really good screener to be able to, hit the defender that's guarding the ball handler, and give an advantage to the ball handler, and now giving him a better chance to be able to, roll hard to the rim, get deep, roll catches, as well as cut behind his man and be able to be a lob threat. Pau's a very smart player. He, not only can he get deep rolls, but those short rolls, and being able to short roll when they put two on the ball, two defenders on the ball handler, as well as being able to handle the ball, score, shoot off those. But on his pops, when we talk about his pops, they didn't shoot a lot of threes, especially with him in 2010, where a lot of this film is taking place. So he'll pop to space, but being able to pop to a space where he could shoot it or drive it. So let's just watch how he impacts the game with the screening, and then is able to roll and get those deep post touches or space on his pops. All right, let's watch the film and figure it out. Let's go to work. On the rolls and the pops, just understand the importance of screening, importance of getting the advantage to the ball handler, and on your rolls to be able to speed roll, to be able to get behind your man and get to the rim for either a lob or a lob or a roll to the rim, or a short roll into a ball handling situation or a short jump shot. On Pau's pops, back then they didn't shoot a lot of threes out of their bigs like they do today. So he's going to pop into 17 feet. Now he does from 3, but whatever player you're working on or whatever your range is as a player, just pop to that range. But just watch how the impact on the game with being able to screen and speed roll or pop to distance. Let's watch the film and figure it out. So the importance of being able to, set a solid screen, which he does on Westbrook. All right, Westbrook has to take a wide angle to get Fisher, forces 2 on the ball. Now the whole floor is spaced out, spread out on the other side, so there's no one to tag Pau on the roll here. So he speed rolls, gets behind Ibaka, and then it's just a major problem at the rim being able to get behind his man. So now he slips out of the screen on the side, but again, speed rolls, and now the rotation's a little late, and look how deep he gets the ball in the paint and be able to keep that ball high. Great instincts, not bringing the ball down. Fisher probably should be in the corner to be in his vision to be able to catch and shoot from the corner, but he kept that ball high and it was able to finish. Same thing in the mid, sets that screen, in that little slot area. Gets 2 on the ball. On Kobe gets 2 on the ball. He speed rolls, and on the tag, they're not able to tag him high, so he gets pretty deep in the lane, and there's really nothing you can do when you get that deep in the paint because of your speed roll. Here on the side, sets a screen for Kobe. Bosch sort of steps up and switches or hedges. Puts 2 on the ball, speed rolls. There's no one there to tag. And then on the next option to think about on the roll and the catch, having a player in that corner to be able to pass to and make that open shot. But he gets deep in the paint again on the roll, and there's nothing they can do. Here they set the drag. You can't really see it, but it sets the screen high, very high. So now they got to make a play for Kobe, and they got to rotate up. Pau speed rolls, finish deep in the paint. So here's the delay on that. It sets a good screen here for Kobe. They put 2 on the ball. He waits. Everyone thinks he's just going to pop to distance. Everyone's eyes are on Kobe, and then he makes the roll hard. He's late to the party on the roll, but he was very, very effective at where he got to. So now here they're going to force 2 on the ball here, and now Pau's going to short roll into that little jump shot area. 1 dribble pull up on the short roll. Anytime there's 2 on the ball, you want a short roll. All right, because when we put 2 on the ball, you need a release, valve for the ball handler. So here it sets the screen, gets 2 on the ball. Kobe delivers it, and that little 1 dribble going left, right, left jump shot. So when you have a shooter that's setting screens that can make shots from 22 feet and in, and you get 2 on the ball, you make a decision. Do you not put a second defender on Kobe and not leave the shooter, or do you put that second defender on Kobe and force an open player like Pau? So that's why when you can make shots and you could also roll, it really puts the defense into a tough way, in a hard way. So puts 2 on the ball, a little pass to Pau, a little short jump shot. And Kobe comes off that thing. They get 2 on the ball, gives him his release, catch and shoot from the elbow area, from the free throw line. So anytime you could space out, it's just a longer rotation for the defense. Here Kobe comes off. They put 2 on the ball. Pau gets to as much space as he can. Catch and shoot, long rotation. That's tough for Mike Conley to get to. Basket. So here Kobe rejects. All right, he sets the screen. Ginobili jumps up to the ball, takes away his right hand, gets to the left. Again, puts 2 on the ball, little short roll, jump shot in that area. That's why you have to be that safety valve, especially if they're going to step up and force the reject. So he rejects to his left hand. Everybody else is sort of taken care of defensively. Now they got 2 on the ball. Now if it's a roll into traffic, that's going to be a harder pass to make for Kobe. But now they put 2 on the ball. He sort of lingers around that top of the key area, and he's able just to catch left, right, jump shot. Same thing, they jump in up to the ball. They jump into the ball, force Kobe to his right hand. Doesn't, takes that screen away. Pau just sort of stays. He gets 2 on the ball, and that's a tough decision to make. You have Hibbert there, who if he plays up on Pau, first of all, you need help on Kobe. But even if he did play up on Pau and took that jump shot away, Pau will just turn the corner and drive on him. So now they take it away, puts 2 on the ball, gives him his release valve, catch and shoot jump shot. So those are some of the easier rotations and easier sort of options on the pick and roll, pick and pop. You can get much more complicated, but I think it's important just to sort of cover the basics. You saw what screening does. You see what rolling behind your man does. Short rolls, pops into space, and then the options that you have because of it. We didn't cover passes. We'll cover passes out of pick and rolls a little bit in the passing section, but impact that screen and roll have for the game for bigs that are skilled, that can roll hard to the rim, short roll into pops, and try to be like a triple threat on that is just going to open up more opportunities to be a winning player. Passing is just one of those things that increases your value as a winner. Being able to make plays for other people and set the table early, and being able to just to pass to open teammates just makes you that much more valuable. But when we're developing big men, not only to be able to score, but have vision out of the post. First and foremost, we have to be accurate. We have to work at passing as a fundamental skill to be accurate with our passes, accurate with our bounce passes, the backdoor passes, the look aheads, going on the weak side and making those passes and plays. We have to be accurate with our passing. We have to work on it daily. It's a fundamental skill that we got to continue to get better at. Vision out of the post, teaching our bigs not only how to score out of the post, but how to face up and see the weak side of the floor, see where those doubles are coming from. Just give that look over your shoulder before you make a move. So teaching our players how to be accurate with that, but how to be just patient in the post and look on the weak side of the floor. Set the table early. Just take the pressure off the offense and needing to score all the time. Being able to set other players up based on your vision could just make it that much easier for your team and then for yourself. And obviously being able to pass with both hands. And Pau's very good at that. Being able to pass with your right, pass with your left, and just be accurate with both hands just makes you that much more of a helping cause or a helping hand to help your team win. So let's go to the film. Let's go to work. It's hard to script, situations where, every type of situation you should be able to pass into or pass out of, for that matter. But on this, you just got to watch in the film how, Pau faces up. He's got vision. He forces plays where he sees double teams. He gets 2 on the ball, and he's able to make passes to open teammates. Now, sometimes you run offenses where, players cut, they're timed cuts, and you have better opportunities. It's not like you have better vision. It's just, you have a lot of cutting offenses, and you're able to spot players cutting. But you want to be able to pass out of the post, high-low, pass into high-low situations. Spot players on the weak side, make drives where you're going to force defenders to rotate to you and make plays for other people. So let's just watch a few situations which, Pau makes the right play. So here he's going to open up. He's going to see the floor. He's able to, get that second defender over to him. And then he's got Shannon Brown, spotted up top. Same thing here. So he gets the post on the right block. They rotate down. Jordan Farmar open for the 3 up top. And this is what I'm talking about with the vision. The face up, the drive, everybody collapses down, and he's able to make the play. But having this vision of the floor like this, and now you can see where doubles are coming from if you want to drive. Now here, he takes Big Baby here. They rotate. They put 3 on the ball, and he's able to spot up, for Ron Artest on the 3-point shot. Talking about that vision and how important that is. So he has it here, faces up, cuts here to sort of occupy, and now he's able to see Derek Fisher on the weak side of the floor. See that face up, that vision, and be able to see, Fisher on the weak side corner. It's nothing magical. It's just having that vision and turning and seeing and be able to see your options. This is a great play. He's able to be aggressive on the elbow catch. A little spin middle, and then he sees Lamar Odom cut into the basket. Here, because of his activity and be able to cut, he forces, somebody else has to rotate up to stop him, and now he's got Andrew Bynum with the duck, the high-low dump down. This is just an easy play that anybody can make. Artest makes the post pass, and he just cuts. His man turns his head. He cuts to the basket. Just that easy cut to the rim. Nothing magical about that. Just a good basketball play. See the vision there? He really likes to look, sees his options, sees where that double could come from, and then where everybody is so he could spot him at the last minute. Here they take their eyes off of him. We talk about this in many videos where weak side, they take off the ball. Look at everybody's turning their back to the weak side of the floor. I mean, that's a very common occurrence in basketball where everyone just has their eyes spotted on the ball. I mean, look at the whole team here. Their eyes are on Pau, and now they could just cut in from the weak side. Artest has the cut here. This is just forcing the defense to collapse. Little cut into the paint. Everybody collapses. Open shot. I mean, that's more Kobe than Pau, but just being able to turn, see, the little split out, the little flare in the weak side. And then Kobe just basket cut. And again, great screen by Lamar Odom. I think this is our last play on this. This is just, again, spotting everything out of the left side of his face. Spots Odom cutting. And that's it. There's nothing magical here. Just, having vision, especially in the post, being able to face up and see on your cuts to be able to catch if you draw in a crowd or forcing defenders on the weak side to rotate up to be able to force, to be able to just make plays for other people. The high lows in play, the passing out of the posts in play, spotting cutters, spotting double teams, and it's just sort of playing basketball and slowing the game down and just making easy plays. You got to be an accurate passer. You got to be able to pass with both hands, and obviously you saw the result of that. I think for this video, you're going to need a Snickers bar because you're going to be here for a while. I picked Pau for this video session because of his ability to score. In my opinion, I can't name 5 more better low post scoring big men that ever played the game. You talk about Olajuwon, you talk about McHale, you're talking about Tim Duncan. There aren't many other better big men scorers that ever played the game as far as skill level on the block. And what you're going to learn today in this film, and it's a long one, it's over 20 minutes long, is we're going to build it from the ground up, having skill around the block, being able to score with hooks and have good touch around the basket with the hooks, with the jump shots over both shoulders, with the hooks with both shoulders, and then go into jump shots, back downs, dribble drops, spin moves, isos on the block, running hooks, inside pivot offense, inside pivot to running hooks. He's got an array of moves. Now, when you develop bigs, you don't need to develop 1,000 moves like this, but he covers everything because that's just sort of his game. He's graceful with it. It looks great, and he could score with both hands. He's probably the best weak hand big man that I've ever seen. His ability to score the ball, being able to, first of all, I hate that term, score the ball. I'm so lazy, I'm not even going to edit it out of the tape, but don't ever say score the ball. What the hell else is going to score with a grapefruit? Of course he's going to score with a basketball. But his ability to get fake over his left shoulder and then spin back to his right shoulder and shoot that hook. You'll see a lot of that here. And I think it's really important when you're developing bigs to be able to have one or two moves they can go to, and then counters to each one of those moves. You don't need 1,000 moves. Just one or two moves that they could be really efficient at, and then a counter to that if the defense takes it away. So this is one of the more enjoyable segments I've had yet. Pau's such a great offensive scorer, and he was such a big part of that team in LA. So let's have some fun with this one, and let's go to work. Thank you. This is going to be the longest video of this whole presentation. I felt as though Pau's such a great post player that I wanted to show everyone that's viewing this sort of what he can do and sort of build his post game from the ground level up. I can't name 5 players that ever played the game that was better at scoring or more skilled on the block than Pau. When you're building a big man, it starts from the ground level up. You have to build it through not moves, but being able to have skill around the basket. I don't care how skilled your player is, being able to efficiently make hooks with both hands around the basket, being able to shoot jump shots over either shoulder, or be able to lay it in with layups with your right and left hand on either side is the most important fundamental of building your post player. Essentially any post offense that you have or any move that you have is going to be finished with a layup, a layup or dunk, a hook, or a jump shot. So we're going to go through this whole post package. There's going to be 12 types of post offense in this package. So I want to sort of show you all of it. So let's go to work. Okay, so first things first, just the hooks around the basket. Good touch, following through, could do it with either hand. But again, just catching the ball around the basket, it could be on a duck in, it could be just a deep post seal, but being able to catch the ball and be able to turn over either shoulder with touch around the basket is such an important part of it. Now here we'll go from the hooks to the jump shot. Now being able to turn over either shoulder on front turns and set up your defender with the ability to make a shot, turning over either shoulder is an important trait. Pau could do it on either block. See how he just takes his time and is able to just face up and shoot. And what this is gonna set up is on the open ups now, his man's gonna be able to have to play that and come out, and it's gonna open up his drive game. But first things first, being able to shoot the hook shot consistently and face up is a big part of it. Now we'll go down to the back down hook. And this is a staple for most bigs. You'll see how he just sets Dirk up with his ability to get to the basket and use his legs to back Dirk up and clear space. He backs him into the paint, gets close, and look at the gather. Look where he gathers it on the hook, right, nice and high, and he brings it right up to his hook shot. Waits for his cuts, just patient, and with the ability to back his man down in the middle and be able to turn over either shoulder and score, it opens up the next phase that we'll go over, and that's the dribble drop. But here, just watch the reps and how he could just take his man easily and just skillfully get to the basket. Another thing, good post position. All right, look at that left arm, sort of clearing space and protecting the ball. And again, that high gather after the dribble, gathers it high, doesn't really dip, and just gets into his hook. Having range on your hook is such an important trait of being a good post player, because now it just makes you almost unguardable if you can go over either shoulder to score with a hook. Now it's the same thing with the jump shot. Being able to back your man down, clear space on a back down, and now be able to turn over either shoulder and pull up for that jump shot. It all starts with jump shots with no dribble and hooks with no dribble, and now you just sort of graduate into the next thing and being able to back your man down and be able to pull up for that little jump shot over either shoulder. See, the patience too. So he catches the ball, he waits for the cutters to go through. So the pass goes in, waits for the cuts, doesn't start his move until the defense clears out. Now that the defense clears out, it's a pure one-on-one on the post, and that's just no one can stop this guy. Little jump, little fake to set it up. Now we're gonna go to the dribble drop. If you could really score on one thing, you got to be able to develop that one move. If it's a dribble hook, they're going to try to cut that off from going middle. When your defender cuts something off, you got to go to a counter. And now he'll just go from dribble middle, back down. Defender's going to overplay to the middle, and he's just going to be able to turn over the other shoulder with either a jump hook, a little one-legged hook, or a jump shot. We're going to go into an array of hooks right now. So waits for the cutter as usual, back down, and then goes to the hook. Again, it's such a pretty move to make, and just first things first, having that fundamental skill of being able to finish with the hooks first, and now you can make any move if you could turn over either shoulder to shoot a hook shot. So again, Hollins tries to body him, tries to cut him off, takes one step, and uses that glass. That backboard is such an important friend for any post player. Again, takes one thing away, takes that middle away, and is able to drop that baseline, high gather into a hook shot. Good post position, patient, good balance, enabled, again, to sell the middle, a little ball fake. Bargiani sort of goes for it, turns over the other shoulder, righty hook. And that's just such a big thing right here. I can't stress it enough. Good post position. Doesn't go into his post move now because look at how many defenders you got. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. See, I can count to 4. Suffolk education, baby. But waits for that cut. Everybody goes through. All right. Gets it again. Waits for that cutter. Clears the defender. That little dribble drop. Righty sweet hook. Waits for the cut to go through, clears out. Now we're gonna go to the hook over the right shoulder, lefty hook. Being able to turn over either shoulder is such an important skill. That's why you gotta have spend time on it. And in today's game, I understand that post play is not what it used to be, and not a lot of people like to do it. But anytime you get this situation, and this was back in like 2010. So anytime you get that situation where it's a screen and a switch, you got to be able to roll to the basket, and it has to be a priority to be able to post up to the smaller player. Here he catches it, dribble drop, lefty hook. Takes his time. I mean, it's a great move to have. It's such a popular move. It's one of the more popular post moves. And if you believe it, like watching Pau and breaking down his, I broke down every post move that he made in the 2-year period. And the majority of the moves that he made was the dribble drop over the right shoulder. So back down middle, spin baseline for that hook is one of his favorite moves to make. And having that left hand, it just makes you that much deadlier as a post scorer. Deep post position, turns. Now it's just the same thing, but now a jump shot. Like we said before, it's so important to have that hook and that jump shot developed. So now when they take something away, you could just turn and either shoot the hook or the jump shot. Especially if you're a little bit deeper out, and you're a little bit out of your hook range, being able to turn over your shoulder with that high gather without dipping so they can strip the ball and be able to shoot the ball. And that's one of the secrets. Obviously, he's 7 feet tall and he's very skilled, but watch the gather as he turns. And look how high it is when he turns. It's like chest level. And he just turns into the shot, turns over that right shoulder, jump shot. Now we're going to go into the spin. And the spin move is such an important move to have because when they overplay to the middle, you can now have that move going to the baseline. And it's an aggressive move and a graceful move. But what the biggest thing you have to be able to do, and watch this on his left foot here, you got to weigh that inside foot to the baseline down, all right, so you don't pick it up and travel. And you got to swing that foot as far around as possible to sort of get your defender on their hip. So here, he just turns, keeps that left foot down, scores with a hook. And we're going to go over hooks to the baseline and hooks to the middle. But again, that baseline foot has to be down. Left foot down, doesn't bring it up, and just gets to the basket. He's able to take contact, either finish with either hand, could finish same side, or finish the other side. This is a little bit more fancy where, Bosch cut him off one way, he spun back, Bosch went for it, tries to cut that shoulder, and goes to another spin. Might be a little advanced for some, but just defense taking one thing away, and now he's just adding something else. So again, spin baseline, takes the contact, finish. Everything's a foul for Pau. Good. Again, two things it's such an important parts of the spin is being able to catch, being able to weigh that baseline foot down. In this case, it's his right foot, and being able to swing that foot see how he gets that foot all the way around, and that foot stays on the ground until he puts the ball on the floor and then he picks it up. But that foot has to spin all the way around and get him propelled towards the basket and to get that defender on his hip to be able to finish. Same thing, dribble. It's more of a dribble drop spin here. But again, getting that foot down and then bringing that foot all the way around to propel him to the basket. It makes him that much more deadly. All right, now it's a spin to the middle, and it's the same concept. Getting that foot down. He's so good with those running hooks, but getting that middle foot down now. All right, here's going to be the left foot, and then getting that right foot all the way around. He likes to put the ball on the floor first, and then spin, clear, and then use that running hook, going baseline. I'm going middle. So it's such a. Especially if they overplay baseline, you get that foot all the way around. And look how he does it. Obviously big hands and all, but just picks it up, layup, and one. Yeah, I don't know if you can teach that. So now we're going to go into the inside pivot. See, inside pivot, defenders follow two things. They're going to follow the moving foot and the ball. So on the inside pivot, obviously you got to be able to make that inside pivot jump shot. And the inside pivot's such an important, pivot for you because on the open up, two things. See how he's going to open up now. If Tolliver here, number 44, Golden State, if he doesn't move with Pau could just rip it through to the baseline and finish. Because now he opens up, he's going to, lean to the baseline and cut that off. and now it's just going to open up Pau to be able to shoot. But now Pau's got the glass angle where he could use the glass. He could drive baseline, and he could also drive middle. So that's why the inside pivot's such an important shot. And we're going to build into that, to the run and hook after in a minute. But being able to open up, keep that ball high, get that defender leaning a little bit to the baseline. See how they react to every open up? And they're going to follow the moving foot and where the ball's at. Opens up Blake here. Again, patient, keeps the ball high, and able to shoot that ball. That's how important that little range is. See, he could use the glass if he wants, or he could just shoot straight away. Opens up Osich right there. See, on the open up here, you don't wait. He's going to follow the moving foot, and once he opens up, that defender's going to lean baseline. Once that defender leans baseline, he doesn't wait on it. He doesn't wait for him to get back in his defensive stance. Once that foot's down and he's leaning baseline, that's when he takes something away and his balance is, getting the best of him right here. That's when you just pick that foot up right when it lands. One dribble, 2 steps, that little run and hook going middle, and look how he gathers the ball high. Open up, puts the ball on the floor, 1 dribble, 2 steps, run and hook. Same thing here. Waits for the cut, opens up. Once that foot lands, see how he opens up? See how the defender leans baseline? He has to, because if he doesn't lean, Gasol could just rip it through. We'll go through the rip through baseline in a minute. But once that foot lands and his man leans with him, he keeps that right foot down and he just drives it. 1 dribble, 2 steps, run and hook. Now he's going to get Haddadi first. He's going to pass the ball back out, repost, and the same thing. You got to use his balance against him. He opens up, Haddadi goes baseline, and then keeps that foot down. More of a jump hook on that, but same thing. It's such a great move when done right, and especially being able to do it on either block like he can. Open, once that foot's down, 1 dribble, 2 steps. You got to have the footwork. All right? You open them up. Once that foot lands, Perkins leans, opens. See how it just drops that shoulder, and he opens up that middle drive. That left foot's down, 1 dribble, 2 steps, hook. Good. Now we're going to go little jabs, jabs in the post. Same thing. He opens up. He sees the defender on him. Keeps that ball on the left hip just like a wing player. All right, now just that little jab off. And the same thing. Same footwork into the shot. It's just going to jab your defender off. It's another way to create space. Now, I like to jab with a permanent pivot foot, but in the post, I'd rather just open up and shoot, but you can jab with either foot. I would rather just jab with the right as a righty, left as a lefty. Opens up Perkins, clears space with the jab, shoot the ball. And what that does on the jab, again, once they follow the moving foot, and we'll see it with Dirk here. So waits for the cut. Now, he opens Dirk up. Dirk follows the moving foot. As he jabs him, Dirk's got to go back. So now what's going to happen is when he brings his foot back for the jump shot, what do you think the defender's going to do? Follow the foot and try to cut that jump shot off. So back on the jab, as he squares up, his weight's going to go forward. All right, now here he's going to shoot the jump shot. But you got to understand what can be open on this. So jab back, and now he brings his foot back. The defender's going to go towards him, and that could open up a drive to the basket because the balance is going to be going forward on the defender. Keep the ball high, little sweet jump shot. Little jab, get the defender back. Sometimes it takes a couple, but that left hip, just like a wing player, really helps protect the ball. Jab, jump shot. See how he keeps that ball on the left hip, protected, just like a wing. Jab, defender goes back. So the weight goes back, and as he brings his foot back, that defender's weight's going to go forward, can open it up, driving lanes if he wanted to. Keep that ball high. Great jab. So now we're going to go into a little bit of a just ISO section. So again, the jab opens up, jab, brings his defender back, brings it up, puts the ball on the floor, and then spin baseline. You might be able to use these, you might not, but these aren't all fancy, but this is just sort of, creating space in the block. Now this is going to be a rip through baseline. It's really important when defenders don't move to be able to be aggressive and get by them and get by their feet and be nice and tight on the angles and be able to just rip through your man. Get your man on your hip and score. And this is an important move for anybody. Takes him to sort of the mid post, waits for that cut, right foot down, long step, get your man on your hip and just finish. Good. Just, again, size your man up on the open up. There's plenty of space to drive. Duncan tries to get the quick strip and then just drives by him. Again, being able to shoot those hooks and be able to make those hooks efficiently is what makes you a great player in the block. So we talked about it before, being able to open up and be able to rip through your man baseline. And that's why defenders have to move with that moving foot, because if they don't and they just stand still, they're going to get ripped through. Now, on the open up, if Jeffries took that, sort of cut that off, it could have been a running hook going baseline, going middle. Gets him on his hip, finish, and one. So just being patient in the post. Just being able to catch the ball, being able to wait for that cut to go through, and then just sort of play with your defender. A couple of dribbles down, little hook in the lane. Good. When you're that good going middle and they cut that off and they know you can dribble drop, it's such a, you got to pick your poison. And when you try to do one thing and be great at one thing and they cut you off on it, having that sort of that next thing to go to and that counter, that's why it's important to have two moves and a couple of counters. So, and just being able to read defenders. That little fake spin to the baseline, we've seen how good he was on dribble drops. That's what's going to get the defender moving. And now we could just open up different ways to score. That's why those little turns and half spins are really important, because it gets your defender leaning a certain way and you go where they're not. This is a nice one. That little open up inside pivot. Once that defender gets leaning, just go 1-2 step, right, left, going left, and that little hook, into the middle of the paint. That's why having range on your hook, developing that first before you do anything movement-wise is important. See that move again, same move. Open up baseline, get that defender leaning. See how the defender leans in, and then able to just drive in middle, right, left, little hook. Now we're just gonna go through a few reps of high post stuff. Just open up shots from the two elbows. A little jab off. We're not gonna spend a lot of time on the high post. Now different things. Little quick spin to a hook in the lane. Again, just sort of showing you how important it is to have your hooks down packed. Waiting for it. Good. Little hook in the lane. Little jab off and go to a back down, I believe. Dribble drop right off the glass. Quick spin. Little jump shot in the lane. I mean, he's so versatile. I even told Kobe when I was working for him, I said, why don't you guys run some pick and rolls for Pau in that high post right there? Having like Bynum or whoever else was playing five, being able to just set that screen on Pau and just let him go. I mean, he could put the ball on the floor, a little quick spin or a jump shot. It's a tough move. You don't have to master every one of these moves, but I wanted to build it from the ground up, and I wanted to show you how special he is in these areas. He's not great at a lot of things. This in passing and his IQ is so much off the charts that you got to show it, and you got to overshow it because of how important having those hooks and having those jump shots over either shoulder, using the glass, and then having those things mastered, and then finding those one or two moves that you could use. That's how you build a post player, not by just going out there and doing 50 moves. Having a great touch around the basket and then building off of that, and talking to your player about, look, you use your move. If they cut it off, be able to do something else and go to a counter. I hope this was useful. This is really fun. He's a hell of a post player, and we're just scratching the surface of what he could really do. But this is just sort of a 15, 20-minute example of how good he was. Good he is at this. Thank you. Now, of all the things that we could cover, defense probably isn't Pau's strongest suit. He is a very smart defender. He's a very good team defender, and he makes great effort with the on-the-ball defense. Now, the problem with him, he's a little bit slow-footed in pick-and-roll coverages and things like that, but he makes up for it with basketball IQ. Being a good defender in the post. First and foremost, you got to try to limit your fouls as much as possible. And the way you're going to do that is playing, obviously with good positioning, but also showing your hands at all times. Obviously, you're going to take the hit on back downs, and you could sort of, put your hands on players, but then when they face you up, you got to get your hands up. I think hand positioning is very important to being a good post defender. As a good team defender, making multiple efforts in a possession. And you'll see this in the film. Basically like guarding pick and roll, and then sprinting, switching, and then sprinting to somebody else, helping, and then, coming back to your man, boxing out, and making multiple efforts like that under possession. Active hands are important. Contesting shots, forcing players into tough, contested fadeaway shots in the post if you can, or just tough shots in general. But obviously, when we're trying to do this, not every post player is going to be a great defender, but you could be a good team defender. And you're going to see this with Pau's tape. I mean, he's such a smart player, and he makes up for a lot of his, again, not being the quickest footed player, but with his basketball IQ and knowing where the ball is going to be, and just, really good at positioning and being in the right place at the right time. Pau makes up for a lot, again, with his basketball IQ and intellect and, competitive spirit. So let's watch the film and let's go to work. Thanks. No one's ever going to confuse Pau Gasol and Bill Russell on the defensive end of the floor. But what makes Pau an effective, serviceable defender is his ability to, stay in front of the offensive player, force them into tough shots based on his basketball IQ. He's very active, uses his hands, and he's a serviceable shot blocker. So on these clips, I want you to just see his activity level and his ability just to have desire to try and keep players in front of him. Defensively, he could rebound. He was slow-footed, but again, made up for it because he knew where to be. He's a very good team defender. So let's watch the film. Let's figure it out. So here's the cross screen comes. He gets through. All right. He takes KG's space away. All right. It forces him into a tough contested shot. KG's got he was a big spin guy anyway, but forces him into that, that spin fadeaway jump shot from the baseline over his right shoulder. Here he's got to cover Perk deep in the paint. Perk tries to back down. Stays in front, takes the hit. Contests. Lakers come up with the ball. Solid defense. Here he's got KG again. Stays down. Little beer hug. But again, forces him into that fadeaway jump shot. Even though KG was a serviceable fadeaway shooter, pretty effective. Here he switches on Rondo and then gets back into the play. And that's what I'm talking about. Most players on plays like this would just sort of stay with Rondo. Here he's helps in the paint after the pass. He's there to help on the Garnett drive. Gets his hand on the ball. Lakers come up with it. Solid defensive play. Here he guards Amari in the high post, stays with him, and contests the shot. I mean, Amari is one of the better, more explosive players to try to guard up there, especially for someone who's slow-footed. Forces him to the left. A little bit less effective going left, tries to finish with his right. Pau gets a hand up, and then tough contested shot. Here he has to guard Boozer. Is not as explosive as Stoudemire, but again from the high post, stays down, jumps up to him, stays in his stance, and that's big too, being able to stay in his stance and then have active hands and then force him into that fadeaway jump shot. Here, look at the multiple efforts. Switches on Pierce, gets back to Garnett, and then into Perkins, who gets the block on Perk. And Perk's not a great athlete, so he gives him some extra time on the gather. But look where how much ground he's got to cover on this possession. He goes from covering KG, pick and roll happens, switches on Pierce, sprints back to Garnett, and then into Perkins to make the block. That's a hell of a defensive effort. Even though Rondo comes up with it, that was a great rotation on 3 people. Here to finish off the defensive clips. Again, in help, gets to Perkins, sprints over to KG. In help, pick and roll, switches on Allen, and then forces Allen into a tough contested shot. Not every defender, not every post player is going to be a good defender or a great defender. And, Pau's got a lot of good attributes on the defensive end, mostly because of his brain. He knows where to be, and he forces players into tough shots. As a post defender, you got to defend without fouling. You got to be able to know where to be. You got to be able to help off the ball and force the player you're guarding into tough shots. Again, he's not the most athletic guy, but he's big, he's long, and he's active, and he has a brain in his head and knows how to play. So, again, just being active in multiple efforts on possessions could take you a long way into becoming a very good team defender. I hope you enjoyed the film. This was a fun one to make. Pau Gasol is one of my favorite players of all time. Working with Kobe for 4 years and talking to Kobe a lot about, Pau and the important, place that he had in that team and the important, piece that he was for that team. Kobe always said that he was one of the most skilled players that he's ever played with, one of the smartest players that he has ever played with. And he just has a flair for winning. And he's such a great teammate, great skilled player, and he could just do so much on the court. I love his offensive ability. I love his basketball IQ, his passing. But, the guy's a winner everywhere. Not only has he won in the NBA with multiple championships in LA and being a big part of that, but also with the Spanish national team, playing in Barcelona, helping them before he got to the NBA. But, being such a high-level player in Olympic basketball for so long. And he's a great player. Probably doesn't get as much accolades as he should. I mean, he's one of the better players on the low post that ever played the game. But if I'm trying to, develop a big man, I would definitely try to emulate a lot of the things that he does. And we talked about his high skill level, his high basketball IQ. He's active on both ends of the floor, running, screening, scoring, running the floor and doing different things like that. And those are all winning traits. And we talk about developing winning players. I think when you're developing bigs, obviously he's one of the best scorers of all time on the block, but being able to do different things. And I think on the film you saw how much a player like this can do. And when you're developing a big, trying to emulate a lot of the things that he does as far as being a good team player, basketball IQ, passer, not just a one-dimensional scorer. So as usual, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to view my content. Again, this is a fun one to do. Hopefully you have a lot of questions and we could have a good interaction after the session. But we'll be back at it on Friday, next Friday with another player, a point guard, and I'll be releasing that soon. Thank you so much. Continue to stay safe. Thank you for viewing my content and taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. God bless, and until next time, thank you. Let's go to work.